Hey friends, what's going on? So a quick strumming pattern lesson today, right? I'm going to teach you how to read them and also how to write them, because it's an important part of being a guitarist. So sometimes you're learning a song, or you're writing your own song, or you're following along with a lesson, or you're playing with friends, and you need to capture a strumming pattern. I'm going to teach you how. So quick note is the best way to follow along with this video after the fact is to get the PDF over at my website. I'm going to show you about 7 tips, and I'm going to give you a visual aid for each of those tips here. So super valuable resource. You can take it with you, and along with all my other printouts of song notes, it's a good thing to have in your guitar notebook. But let's get into these tips, and in no time you will understand just the basic in and outs of strumming patterns, right? We'll talk about up strums and down strums and rests and accented strums and palm mutes and all kinds of stuff that you might need to write down. I'm going to talk about that and you'll be in good shape, right? I'm not going to talk about reading music at all. I'm not going to talk about writing tabs or reading tabs at all. None of that's required. This is just basic strumming rhythmic notation stuff. All right, so let's get to those 7 tips starting right about now. So the first thing above all else is the most important skill in writing or reading strumming patterns would just be writing down your ups and your down strums, right? I think there's 2 ways to do this that I'm most familiar with, right? One is just using the letters D for down and U for up, right? And that refers to down strums, right? And up strums. And these are used together lots of the time, right? This is a mixture of down and up strums, and you could sort of write this down with D's and U's, right? You also could write it down using the arrow symbol, just pointing down for a down strum and pointing up for an up strum. A few caveats here is the D does not mean the note D or the chord D. This has nothing to do with that. It just stands for the word down and then the U for up, right? And for these arrows, note that they're sort of referring to the real life direction of your pick, right? Meaning you're going down to the ground or up to the sky. It has nothing to do with the musical staff or tablature and following the strings in that order. That's a totally different model. And in fact, if you were to strum from top to bottom on guitar tabs, you would be strumming up. That would be an up strum in real life, right? So divorce that notion from your strumming pattern writing down this. But basically, you have a strumming pattern, you could notate it with just the D's and U's and sort of capture the main essence of it. That's the first building block. So tip number 2 would be to understand your basic timing and rhythm. Now, most of the time, songs are going to be divided into repeating measures of 4 counts, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be something that is evenly counted, right? Evenly distributed. So when you're writing them, you want to make sure that if you're writing the sort of the beats, the rhythm, the meter at the top, you want to make sure that you're writing them spatially consistently far away on the page, right? In other words, make sure they're sort of evenly distributed, right? In a nice order. Graph paper really helps with this. You can sort of put a 1, 2, 3, 4 in every other square, or maybe every square, and that helps you just keep it literally consistent with regard to space. And that's important because you want to be counting consistently too, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could put a strumming pattern into that, right? A 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, right? Now you can make the strumming pattern as simple or complex as you want, but you want to have that timing sort of consistent. And the only other thing I'll say about timing for now is sometimes you're going to see strumming patterns with a plus sign between the numbers, right? That just is basically giving you the sort of half beats in between. So we have our quarter notes, the 1, 2, 3, 4. These pluses would be the 8th notes, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again, you could put any strumming pattern into that, right? As long as it's a strumming pattern in that time signature, right? Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, 1. 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4, and 1. So I'm basically playing that strumming pattern, and I'm not only giving the ups and down strums, but I'm sort of showing it to you in the beat. Okay, so the next tip I'm going to talk about is the combination of your directions, right? The ups and your downs, ups and downs, downs and ups, and combining that with your timing, your 1, 2, 3, 4. This is important because often you're going to want to write these at the same time so you understand on which beats the downs and the up strums happen on. If you don't have the timing, you could interpret the same strumming pattern in different ways. For example, say we had a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, right? If I was to count that, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4, and, right? But if I was to play it like this would also be a down, 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 up, down, right? This would be a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. So what's the difference there? The difference is the sort of timing, the way I'm distributing those strums. So check this out. The second one I just showed you, right? The down, 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 up, down, 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 up. That could be also said as 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and that's when those strums are happening. The first one I gave you, this down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. That would be spoken if you're doing the timing as 1, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, right? So it's all about the distribution within the timing that makes those strumming patterns different from each other, even though they both could be written as D, 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 U, okay? How much are you going to spread those D's and U's out? That's the important part. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is a related tip to that, which is the idea of rests, okay? A rest in rhythm just refers to a beat where you're not going to be strumming, right? So in this one, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Check out on the 2 count, I'm not doing anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So what's happening there is I'm moving my picking hand constantly up and down, but on the 2 count, I'm not strumming any of the strings, so that becomes a rest. So you could almost speak that if you wanted as down, rest, down, down, up, down, rest, down, down, up, down, rest, down, down, up, down, rest. Or you could say 1, rest, 3, 4, and 1, rest, 3, 4, and 1. Now, both of those are kind of valid, but again, you need the big picture. You need the timing and you need the direction together to give you the full strumming pattern. So if you're to write down strumming patterns and you want to capture a rest, one way to do it, and I do it sometimes, is just by putting a dot on the page, right? So in this simple strumming pattern here, it's just 2 down strums over 4 beats. It would be down, rest, down, rest, down, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, rest, down, rest, down, rest, right? These dots just pretty much emphasize the point that you're not playing anything right there. So sometimes I'll do that in my strumming patterns. Another one I just dealt with here was this down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. That would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 it's on the 1 and count where the rest is happening. So I just put that dot there to note that. So it's an important thing to keep in mind. The next thing I want to talk about for the next tip is the idea of accents. So this is the idea of strums that are louder or more emphasized than all the other strums. And this is important because this can be something that defines a strumming pattern. Again, you could take the same strumming pattern and based on where you put the accent, it's going to make it have a totally different feel and different sound. So for example, I like to do this idea of 4 down strums, right? So we could do our accents on the 2 and the 4 count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all down strums, they're all on the beat, but the 2 and the 4 get the real kick, right? I believe this is called a backbeat, right? It's usually, lots of rock songs will have this. You also, though, could do the accent on the 1 count, just the 1 count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's the same timing, the same strum directions, but it's where the accent goes. So this can be just an important way to make, the sound, the feeling of a strumming pattern just be totally different. I recently learned a song that had down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up as the strumming pattern constantly. So it's all just downs and ups for 8th notes. But the accents came on the 2 and the 4. So it was down, up, 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and, right? So again, it's an important way to just make it stand out. So about accents, the way to write them down and the way to recognize them, if they're already written, is this sign. It looks like the greater than sign, right? And you're usually going to have that above or below the stroke symbol. So that's pretty much going to tell you that like, oh, okay, this is the note that is accented amongst these things. So this is common in sheet music as well. This is where this symbol sort of comes from. I'll use it in lots of my notes, but it's a handy way to just denote to yourself that, hey, this is a strum that has the accent. So if you're reading strumming patterns, what I recommend doing is first look at the meter if it exists, right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, and then notice where do the accents happen. And then that you sort of, you get the timing in your head, and then it's down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 just as an example, all right? The 2 count in that one had the accent. So the next tip will be the idea of bass note strumming. And what that has to do with is instead of doing, say we wanted to do all down strums, 4 beats, right? Down, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What we're going to do instead is keep the 1, 2, 3, 4, keep the down strums, but we're going to do a bass note of whatever chord we're playing just on the 1 count and the 3 count, right? And the 2 and the 4 count will be full strums here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a way to take, again, what's a relatively simple strumming pattern and give it some character by giving one or more of the strums just the bass note, or maybe the bass 2 or 3 notes, right? You could do a down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. But on the 1 count, let's just do the bass note, right? So for a C, that would be, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... So again, the way I would write this down, the way I commonly do it, is just by putting a line under a down strum. Because a down strum is usually what you're gonna, the direction of the pick will be. And then you're just gonna catch the bass note, maybe the bass 2 strings of whatever chord, and then the rest of the time you just follow the regular strumming notation here, right? So that's one handy way to write down the capturing of bass notes, and there's lots of cool stuff you can do. So for example, you could do this one, which is again, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? All downs and ups. But what we're gonna do is do bass notes on the 1 and the 3 count, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 you could also just say down up or bass up down up, bass up down up, bass up down up, bass up down up. And that same strumming pattern, if I was to get a bit more advanced, is to do alternating bass notes, which I'm not going to cover writing those down right now, but that would look like this. Same idea, right? Bass up down up, 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 bass up down up. So again, writing down the bass note notation just by a line underneath or writing out the word bass is a nice way to sort of capture that as well, because it can make strumming patterns very different, like I said. And then finally, let's talk about slap strumming. So this is something that might sound like this, right? If I was to speak this, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, whoops, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop. So the way I like to write this down is usually just putting an X in the strumming pattern notation here. You could do it in any other way, but this is a way where I basically see the strumming pattern is down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up, down, up, chop, up. And you can apply that to any chord, right? So again, the X is a handy way to do that, and I have a whole lesson just on this technique if you'd like to learn how to do it. But that's going to be it for these tips. Now again, get the PDF, get the printout here, because these are all just very handy things for you to have in your sort of strum literacy sort of bag of tricks, right? Whether you're reading strumming patterns that me or someone else has written down, or if you're writing your own down, whether you're writing your own song, you're learning a friend's song, you're following a lesson like mine or someone else's online, or you're just transcribing a song yourself, right? Being able to capture the strumming pattern is just a great way to remember it for later, and for yourself and friends to look at what you've written down and like be able to recreate it in a way that's accurate. That's kind of the whole idea of just notation in general, whether we're talking about strumming patterns or sheet music or writing tabs or anything else, right? It's all about conveying information, doing it in a way where the person reading it sort of understands it and takes it the way it's meant to be taken, right? So with what I showed you here, you should be in good shape, and I'll leave it at that. So thanks to all y'all for watching this far. Thanks for those of you who support me, and let's keep on going to the next one, all right? Take care, have a good one, pick up your guitar, and play.